How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to take a look at a book, not a video game, but it is related to a video game. We're going to be looking at the Collector's Edition game guide for The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. Let's take a look inside. Before you continue in this video, I have to warn you, it is a review for a strategy guide. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but there are massive spoilers. You have been warned. Moving on, you see that this is not one, but two books. A guide and a small compendium, which we will look at later. But first, let's get into the guide itself. As you can see, the guide is a rather large book, hardbound, with beautiful art set on a matte surface with glossy details. The cover isn't bloated with unnecessary text like Game of the Year or winner of 200 awards. It just presents the guide, something which isn't done very often these days. Looking inside the guide, we see that it is printed on medium thickness glossy paper. I prefer to have my guides on matte paper, like the official guides for the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, but that's just a minor gripe. The first thing we're greeted with is an introduction to major characters in the Witcher universe, all with portraits and short introductions. After that, there is a section on how to use the guide. Somewhat long for something so simple, it spans about 5 or 6 pages, but the guide is so dense, with so many diagrams, it could be necessary for the more dense players among us. Following is a tutorial on how to play the game, even more unnecessary as there are many in-game tutorials. But seeing as this is very much a completionist guide, I suppose it is a good supplement. On to the quest guide. The book is huge, but the game is bigger. The content is just crammed into this guide, leaving little room for anything but text. There are pictures where they're needed to illustrate strategy, but not much in the way of fluff. You would think that with the high build quality of this guide, the publisher would add a dozen or so more pages to give the guide more breathing room. That being said, this is a very in-depth guide with lots of information, all you could ever ask for. The quest section takes up about as much real estate as the entire Grand Theft Auto San Andreas guide, which is quite impressive, considering how densely packed it is. At the end of the quests guide is a brief recap of all of the ending states, including love endings, character endings, and every ending state in the game. Immediately following is a section on every map and every atlas in the game. This is what I really like to see in my guides, and part of why I'm disappointed with the cold and text-based nature of the rest of this guide. I like maps, illustrations, and diagrams more than stats and cold information. Luckily, the maps in this section are done very well, detailed and beautiful to look at. I even wish I had some posters of some of these. Seriously, there are a lot of maps here. Moving on, we have the appendices and compendiums. This is all of the other miscellaneous information and diagrams that don't fit into other categories, usually my favorite part of a guide. And for the most part, this is the best section. It starts off strong with an illustrated bestiary going over all of the monsters and creatures in the game. For a game that's all about monster hunting, this section is a must, and the illustrations are great. There's a short section on places of power, as well as a page on the various sex scenes you can find in the game. Very nice indeed. Steamy. Immediately following is the section on Gwent. However, the publishers decided it would be fun to include no illustrations whatsoever. The Gwent section is just 4 pages of straight spreadsheets. It's straining to read. A section on achievements for PS4, Xbox, and PC. It seems strange seeing this in a strategy guide, or maybe I just haven't bought a guide in a while. I still feel like achievements aren't a real part of the game and aren't too important. I've always thought the games are better off without them, but maybe that's just me. I guess this is just a symptom of progress, the way of the future. Soon we're going to have achievement-only guides. Here we have a rather badass portrait of Geralt, which is introducing the inventory. which disappointingly enough is another dozen pages of spreadsheets. If the publisher had just spent a few dollars more on this book, perhaps we could have a few pages more and a lot more illustration. It really is unfortunate that a guide which satisfies on all other fronts can in some sections feel like an expensive GameFAQs printout, and the entire inventory goes on like this. I'd really like to see some of the better weapons and armor near their stats, but unfortunately we don't get that. After that sea of text, there's a rather nice, if not short, art gallery, featuring some of the gorgeous paintings of various landscapes and characters found in the game. Bosses also get this treatment with lovely portraits of the Wild Hunt, the crones, and some other noteworthy beasts. This serves as the end cap for the guide, and it's a lovely little gallery. As I showed you earlier, this guide comes with a compendium, a short little guide to the world for series newcomers and veterans alike. As you can see, its styling is very much like a book one would find in-game. However, the not-for-resale stamp on the back kind of ruins the illusion, especially on a set of books with such well-designed cover art. Inside we find that the book is written in-universe, as though it were found in-game, and in fact there are several in-game books included in this compendium. Basically, the guide is a refresher, a need-to-know guide for those who are going into The Witcher 3 after not playing 2 for a long time, or trying out the series for the first time. It briefs the reader in a lore-friendly way on notable characters, major political players, and the geopolitical climate of the time. It's just a handy little guide with lots of fluff which is missing from the actual guide. Overall, it makes for a nice little companion to the game, and is just the cherry on top of this awesome guide. And that was the Collector's Edition game guide for The Witcher 3. A great little guide, gives you a little bit more than some guides, but not as much as others. I would like a little bit more content out of it, but if you liked what you saw, then don't hesitate to pick it up. And it does make a nice little companion for The Witcher 3. Retails for about $40, I think mine was $38.99, but it's just a great little book. So, pick it up if you get the chance. And if you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.